early today, Monday the 18th. If you are first joining me here, I'm going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on a live experiment to seeing what we can do on noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. But I have a client call today, so I'm going to go live a little bit earlier today. We're talking about hourly billing, AI, outputs, and the future of productivity. So that's a lot to dive into, probably like a 10-minute recording. If you have any questions or comments on this, please leave it in the chat so I can review and we can talk about this tomorrow. But I was on a podcast last week and we were talking about remote work and the redundancies and some of the silly things. I'm not going to use very vulgar language here, but very silly things that employers are doing for employees in their companies to have like mouse tracking and screen tracking, like all that things. The things that you think that are productive, which are actually counterproductive. It's actually borderline ridiculous because I'm correlating that, like tracking people's hours to see if that equals productivity to outputs. Because at the end of the day, when I'm hiring and I'm working with people, I care about the output. I do care about the quality and how they execute it, but if it takes them 2 hours or 8 hours, it makes no difference. As like again, objectively speaking, obviously you gotta set the tone and support your staff and create a positive culture. But at the end of the day, when you are working with someone or you have clients, like they don't care how. Obviously, if you're doing everything legitimately and ethically, really it's like they don't know how. Even if you explain them how you do it or show the SOPs, they don't know how. But they care about the outcome or the output. And if you've seen other recordings of mine, we talk about creating roadmaps and then creating trust to the roadmap. Like that's a part of the experience, but really behind the scenes, the client's not going to be looking or the employer's not going to be looking on your screen saying, okay, are you clicking the right things? Or they care about, are you figuring things out? Or are you getting the right output? And with the advent, and we're talking about AI, but like it's not just like GPTs. It's like leveraging technology to increase not just productivity, but focusing on the right activities and the right strategies to get the right outputs every single time. And when you do that, really like work that takes hours, like 20 hours, 30 hours. And I'm experiencing this with some of the work, and I'm leveraging different tech to streamline and 10x my productivity. Sometimes it's as much as 17x the productivity and the output for higher quality, more precision, as well as creating better outcomes for clients. Really, it's less about, okay, did I spend 30, 50, 40, 100 hours on this, or did I get the right higher quality outputs by leveraging the right technology? And the reason why I'm alluding that to hourly billing or with micromanaging bosses that track and do mouse clicks or whatever, and then track your mouse, like all that silliness, the reason why I'm alluding to that is if we think that work is linear, like tomorrow's work is going to look the same as today, it's not. The tomorrow's work is going to look like specific outcomes that are being either A, leveraged with a human that leverages the right technology, or B, done by technology alone, which allows us humans to work on higher level creative work that technology can't do. And to the point where some people are speculating that there's going to be an age of abundance where we're going to have too much services and too many services available to us that are just going to be done for us. And then that really begs the question of like where do we humans play a role in that? But that's probably looking at 10, 15, 20 years. Anyways, diving into the main point of today's topic, hourly billing. If you only charge by the hour, if you have clients that you bill hourly, like you're going to be time poor. It's all about value and specific outputs, and you can quantify that value. You don't always have to do value-based pricing when you're looking at, okay, if this is worth $150,000 for you, I can charge you 25 grand or 15 grand or whatever to do this work, and then I can go ahead and use technology to do this in whatever hours it takes me. So you could still do that, but I'm trying to figure out a way for us to like tangibly when you're working within your organization right now. It's like if you're an employee within an organization, or if you have clients and you have team members that are executing on behalf of clients, is how do you allow your staff or your team or yourself to focus on bigger picture framework strategic thinking and then leveraging the technology in order to facilitate movement across open tasks and closed tasks and allow you to create what is the next leap or evolution of the work that you're doing. Because again, we don't want to think linearly that tomorrow you're just going to get 10%, 15% better in execution or productivity. But what else does the technology allow you to do that you couldn't do before? And if you do leverage the technology, it gives you that white space, that mental space to start thinking at that capacity. And that's what I wanted to dive into here today. Again, the riff was based on hourly billing is ridiculous, hashtag, or shout out to Jonathan Stark for starting that trend. But yeah, hourly billing is ridiculous. If you're charging by the hour, you will always be time poor. And then second, it correlates to employers tracking or micromanaging what's on the screen. Is their mouse clicking or whatever? Because that's not how work is going to be done in the future. Because work, we can condense an 8-hour day probably to about 2 to 3 hours realistically. And then everything else begs the question, what else can we be doing with those 6 to 7 hours of work every single day? How else can we flex our minds or creativity to think systematically of the bigger picture problem that we're trying to solve? And then how do we deploy technology to solve those problems at scale? So that's the thought in the live for today. If you have any thoughts, comments, arguments, anti arguments here, or just disagreements, please comment below. Love to see those. And again, we're going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. Right now, a little early because I got a client call that we're prepping for today. And because Fridays are off, because those are real life coffee meetups by the beach. If you are in town, hit me up. All right, go from here.